Hello and welcome back to the Simple Politics podcast. As ever, I'm joined to discuss the week in politics by Tatton Spiller, who's kind of a big deal at Simple Politics, but don't tell him that.
I'm not a big deal in my own house. I wouldn't write it down hierarchically because it'd be very sad. But certainly, I'm not looking at the top order, but the bottom order. There's a couple of cats and me, and I don't think I want to know which way round things actually stand.
Yeah.
I mean, if they sit about screaming long enough, they'll get fed. I don't think that's true for me.
Yeah, belly
So,
rubs on command.
yeah. I'm going to sit on someone's lap. They just go. Not me. If I want to sit on someone's lap, there's a whole paperwork process.
Absolutely. Well, what a way to start.
If you want to sit on our laps, metaphorically, you should join Patreon. I think that's no. I'll tell you what. If you join Patreon, here's this is genuinely true. If you join Patreon, I will never sit on your lap. Okay? If you don't, who knows? Right? Join Patreon, £3 a month. More if you fancy it. It doesn't have to be £3 a month. It could be £3.15 a month or £74 or what. I mean, any number you want. I think it's got a little box you can just put in. It is a minimum of £3 because I don't know why. Because we're worth it. That's why it's a minimum of £3 because that's what we're worth. No, do join us, please, to support the podcast and help us keep this thing going and pay for its cost. I say this every week, but you are not paying for Diane's time. You are not paying for my time. I see not a penny of the £3.15 or the £74 that you put forward, but you do help us do the whole thing. You help us make the time available and you help us edit it. Oh God, you need to edit it. Oh my goodness, think of all the bits that made it in, right? Can you imagine? Yeah, anyway. Oh, actually, you can imagine because as a Patreon backer you get to see the unedited version. That's like the worst perk. Right?
Yeah.
You get to see us.
You can actually see
unedited.
the video. Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. I'm so sorry.
The faces of Diane and Lottie when I'm doing this. When I say I'm going to sit on your lap.
But what a wonderful exclusive club to be in. So.
Oh, yes. Yeah. No, it's definitely worth it. Very much worth £3.15 or £74 a month. It does this. I always mess about in this bit because I get embarrassed and I don't really like asking for money. And we do actually really need Patreon people. And I'm not going to make a joke at the end of this sentence. It's going to really kill me. But I'm just going to sincerely say, genuinely, if you can join us on Patreon, please do. Patreon.com/simple politics. £3 a month or more, whatever you can do. And we'll keep this rolling over the next year if we can. Let's go.
Excellent. Right, let's move on to top posts of the week. Okay.
Have we moved on?
We've moved on.
Yes, I can make jokes again.
You can.
I said I wasn't going to make a joke at the end, and I didn't. Hurrah!
Well, what are your mortgage jokes like? Because tell us what's in at 3, Tatton.
Well, mortgage jokes. So if you give me a laugh every hour, I'll then tell you a joke in a week's time. That's how mortgages work. I mean, listen, you put me on the spot there.
What was this about then?
So what this is about? It's about Rachel Reeves wanting people to buy more houses, and she can't. Over time, they hope that the more houses they build, house prices will come down.
Yeah,
but that's a long way off. So her plan is to give people more money than they earn you always get more money than you earn as in a mortgage. You
Oh,
can
yeah.
go up to a
Yeah, yeah.
mortgage advisor and say, we earn between us £50,000, and they'll give you £200,000, and then you can buy a house for £200,000, which is tricky anywhere in
Mm,
the country. But she's saying more people should be able to have 4.5 times their income, which is a lot.
mm,
And I get worried about encouraging debt.
mm.
We want mortgages, and some level of mortgage is really good, but the problem here is market failure and the housing price.
Yeah.
And if you just keep chasing that dragon with more and more and more debt, then things, I mean, we learned in the subprime market, didn't we? Things
Mhm.
can go wrong very, very fast.
Mm,
Um, because some people will have a wage cut
mm,
at some point, right? Because not enough people are signing up to patreon.com/politics. Some people will have a wage cut, and when that happens, but you've got 4.5 times your old salary, or you have an accident, or something happens, you get ill, and you can't do your old job, and you end up on disability benefits. That's a hot topic at the moment. You end up there, you're nowhere near the salary you were on when you've got a 4.5 times your salary mortgage.
mm.
And that's trouble.
Yeah, that's tricky. That's really tricky. But I guess in the banking world, because obviously they're very keen to loan money, they would say, if you pay rent, and rent is extortionate at the minute, if you pay rent each month and
Hmm.
you're proving
Hmm.
that, then, kind of there's proof there, isn't there? There's proof that you can handle a large monthly amount of outgoing,
Yeah.
and that, say you can get on the housing ladder sooner, say in your early 20s, your salary might only go up potentially. You know, that's the way they'd look at it, because they're
Yes,
Mm,
but you're gambling that it will only go up.
yes, yes.
And a lot of people's salaries do only go up. They don't all form a politics organization on Instagram. A lot of people's salaries do go up.
Mm,
Maybe most. Because you start junior and then you move up, whatever you've
yeah.
chosen to do. So maybe most people's salaries, and then they can afford to buy it, and then everything's good, and they get it all paid off. Do you think there's an expectation, Diane, and you know more about this than me, that most people will ever pay off their mortgage?
Yes. Oh my goodness,
Yes.
yes, yes, yes. Although, oh my goodness, this is a whole can of worms, but I think the expectation is you pay off your mortgage, sure, but the expectation also is that that's no longer something you are guaranteed to then pass on, because that is going towards social care and all of other things.
So you remortgage, or yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, again.
yeah. Oh
Oh,
my goodness. Yeah.
that's really bleak, Diane.
I'm
Why have you
so
brought everyone
sorry.
down so much?
I'm so sorry.
You're such a killjoy.
Mortgages are hard.
www.patreon.com/simple politics if you want Diane to kill your mood
Mm,
every week
every
on
week.
a Friday or on a Thursday. Get it early on Thursday if you can have your mood crushed by Diane
Yes,
every Thursday, should you wish.
yes.
I have to work with this one.
Well, let's move on. Let's see if we can, let's lift the mood. Let's lift the mood.
Yes, Diane. What mood lifting story have you got in it too?
Wow, you're never going to believe this, but we're getting a full state visit from President Donald Trump. And we now have the dates. We knew this was going to happen because we all watched when Keir Starmer got his little letter out, from
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
King Charles, and handed it over, and it was a big deal. But now we've got dates. So actual firm dates for September. And wow, whoever, I don't know. I don't know how these things work, obviously. I don't know how state visits get done. I don't know if it's like Buckingham Palace and Lindsay Hoyle, and I don't know who's involved in whatever. But he is coming the day after Parliament breaks up for party conference season, which is Tatton's favourite season. Um, so Trump won't get to speak in Parliament, much to the dissatisfaction of
Chagrin.
Nigel Farage, who really wanted him to.
But it's, I mean, the whole thing is Buckingham Palace is genuinely like having a bit of a refurb. So it's going to be off in Windsor.
Windsor,
Windsor
right.
Castle. So it's Windsor Castle, no Parliament. Like it's
A little
you
bit
know
downgraded, would you say?
he'll have no. Well, he'll have his nice meal with the king,
Mhm.
and I bet they use fancy china,
Yes.
in those meetings and those dinners, and he'll get all of that, and he'll get all the photos. What would he say to MPs anyway? Like I think it's fine. Yeah, he'll do that. But I also recently, Benjamin Netanyahu had a dinner with Donald Trump,
Oh.
and he pulled out this letter that he's written to the Nobel Peace Prize,
Oh my goodness. Yes, heard about this.
nominating Donald Trump for the World Peace Prize or Nobel Peace Prize. And the thing is, I felt so uncomfortable watching that because it was this kind of sucking up, kind of bootlicking from a man who we all know is not doing nice things, right?
Mhm.
But how superior can we feel when on our visit we pulled out a letter to surprise him with tea with the king, right? It's the same thing. I just think it's, yeah. It
People
To
don't want
invite him,
tariffs, Tatton. Oh, no, I almost said tariff. People don't
tariff,
want,
tariff, tariff.
but people don't want tariffs, do they? So people
Yeah,
are.
but well, I mean, that's it. I mean, yeah, I
Mm,
mean, what we're looking to protection from isn't the same as what Netanyahu is looking to protection from, but by any means.
mm.
But pulling out a letter as a surprise, oh my God, I love you so much, Donald. Zelensky didn't have a letter, did he? Zelensky got booted out with no
Mm.
letter. No letters. No letter. Zlodimir is what he's called in White House circles, I think.
Well, do you think we'll see much protesting? I imagine we will do, in September.
I mean, yes, I think it'll be hard because they're going to really make him in not very public places.
Mhm.
Windsor Castle. I don't know if you've been to Windsor, but like the castle's kind of in a hole, right? There's the road around it, and then it's like quite distant from the road, and then it's got, because it's a castle, right? So it's got walls around the outside, and that no protest is going to be heard. Even if it's Steve Bray had his big kind of megaphone, right? No, he's not going to be heard. So it's difficult because what would you be protesting that could have any possible impact? And sometimes it's important just to stand up and say it.
Mm,
But you're not standing up and saying it to Trump. You're
mm,
standing up and saying it to the media who are covering Trump.
mm, mm. Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
we'll see. I mean, it's September. The world will be equally screwed by then as it is now. So there'll be protest.
Wow.
Yeah.
Another, mood dampening post.
Oh, I'm taking Diane's role. I'm so sorry, Diane.
I've only got hope for post number 1 this week. I'm really like, I've got everything crossed.
Mm-hmm.
Tatton, what
Mm-hmm.
is gonna lift our spirits in at number 1?
We're all gonna die.
Oh my god.
That's the top post. The top post says it's getting really hot. We got, we've warmed at a rate about 0.25 degrees, like since the 80s. And like there was a book that I read a while ago. It was like if we rise by 0.1%, 0.2%, 0.3%, all of these are global standards for global warming. It's happening. It's hotter than it has been, and we've always had some warm weather. But look, I mean, we've had one long one long heat wave this week, this month. Other people say 3 heat waves. They're wrong. We've had one long heat wave that came and went. This is real.
Mm,
And Ed Miliband, who's in charge of like climate change. No, he's in charge of stopping climate change.
that's the one.
Yeah, made a speech in House of Commons. And listen, I get just a little bit behind the scenes stuff. I don't even know if I'm allowed to say this, but a press guy from Ed Miliband's office gets in touch and he says, "Hi, Tatton," because he really wanted to speak to me. Because do you know why? He wants to speak to me because I run a page for young people. So if you're listening to this and you're not young, get out of here. All right, go, go. Um, he runs a page for no. So and he wanted me to get Miliband's speech out on SP, right? Perfectly reasonably. There's a press officer. That's what he does. So I go ahead and look at the speech. Actually, I read the speech the next day because I was busy doing things. It was a speech full of rhetoric and nonsense with nothing for SP readers.
Mm,
And this is, again, getting into a thing, something I talk about all the time at the moment, is how they engage with young people. You don't engage with young people by finding somewhere and asking them to cover something that isn't for young people. You know,
mm,
like the Beano doesn't have reviews of horror movies,
mm,
right? Because it's for young people. You know, news rounds. I mean, being more serious in the Beano, news round will cover this stuff, but will not cover a second of that speech. We need to talk to people about what we're doing. We need to talk to people about how climate change is real. Climate change is damaging. Climate change is damaging our country right now because because of the global effect of the places where it's really ravaging, as well as because it just gets really hot. I mean, in my little office in here, it gets really hot.
mm,
Um, so if he wants to get that message across that it's real and here's what we're doing and here's why we're doing it, he needs to do that. You cannot make a statement in Parliament and think you're speaking to all audiences.
mm. Yeah.
Statements in Parliament are dull. I watch a lot of them. They're still useful. They're still useful things
Yeah.
to do. It's useful to update MPs. It's useful to use MP language to speak to MPs and to lay out kind of long-term structural consultations and all that kind of thing. That's important.
Mm.
But if you want to speak to young people, I don't even know what that means, young people. Maybe it does mean people under 40. I don't know. I'm not under 40. I'm old. But you need to speak to them. And to give Labour credit, they are making much more effort to speak to us, SP. A minister, I won't say who because we're not going. I don't want to sound like we've turned them down. We're just busy and we can't make it. A minister invited us to come and interview them. So maybe in September, we will do more interviews and try and bring you here on the podcast more arguments from MPs and kind of tease out things. I guarantee they won't have had an interviewer like me before. That we can do that, and that's really important.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
Ed Miliband, just I mean, I would love to speak to Ed Miliband on this, and I would love him to find a way to actually talk to the audience that he was pretending to talk to.
Mm.
Sorry, Dan, I interrupted.
No, it's fine. I do think we've kind of lost sight of how this actually affects people, and it's really
Hmm.
really simple that for example, at the minute, because I live rural in Devon, and harvests are kind of a big deal because of the weather and how it's been, and spoiled harvests, and you know all that kind of thing, and that is literally leads to you go in and buying things in the supermarket that are more expensive because we don't
Mhm.
have the masses amount or gluts that we should have in uh, in autumn time. So this stuff will start to be very real, you know, um, and yeah, I think.
I think that, well, what surprises me is whenever we post on Instagram, more and more people, there is a growing number of commenters saying it's fine. It was hot in the
Mm,
70s. We should just enjoy it. Like, I don't know if that's because of the churn in our page and if we're getting different audiences to what we used to get. Things do change, things do shift, or if there is more of a I think with reform reform's message is we have to adapt to it. We can't change anything. We can't do anything about it. So we need to adapt to it. And Reform are the party who are polling ahead. They're the ones who seem to have a zeitgeist behind them. So maybe that message has come from Reform. And there are a lot of people who agree that climate change is real, but just say we can't. It's global.
mm,
We're a tiny corner. India this and China that. Like, what can we do as a country? I
mm,
mean, conference. Ed Miliband's response is, "We lead.
mm,
That's what we can do." There is a long history of people following where the UK lead,
mm,
and we need to do this and we need to do that. But the reason Farage doesn't want to do anything about it is because adaptations are uncomfortable or expensive or both. Um, Having an electric car is really tough if you don't have a driveway, right? How many people have driveways? So it's expensive. We need to put the infrastructure in, and then when there are ones, there's no expectation that there'll be a charger for every parking space down a street. So you're going to have to hope that slot's free.
mm.
Like, it's tricky. It's easier to
It's
just go and
tricky.
fill up at the garage.
But you know what's even easier? Better public transport. Uh,
Yeah, 100%, 100%. But what all we need to do is build some high speed trains. Um,
Oh, I see the
no, but
problem.
yeah, but bus routes. We've now got fewer bus routes than before.
Mm,
So more people are forced into their cars, and this is another joined up government thing. There was talk a bit before about getting to speak to Angela Rayner. Again, the government departments are doing more to engage with us, so that's possible. Who knows? But where I live and where Lottie lives, here in Whitstable, we've got lots of little housing pop-ups. Everyone across the country does. But where they're being built, they are not extending bus routes.
mm,
So that means everyone's going to have to drive or walk 20 minutes to a bus stop, and then 20 minutes back home, which is more than people do.
mm,
You've kind of got a 5 to 10 minute ceiling,
mm.
or they ain't taking the bus. This isn't London,
Yeah,
so there aren't bus stops everywhere. And I understand that this kind of semi-rural environment, I mean, we're a village and Canterbury's just there, whatever. You can't have buses everywhere, but if you build 400 new homes and they're all 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom, each one of them's going to have 2 cars,
yeah.
right? And in fact, they're built with 2 parking spaces outside them. If you don't put a bus stop nearby, they're all going to
They're all,
drive.
yeah.
These weren't all built with
Mm,
electric ports in. You could, I'm sure, put an electric port in if you want to put an electric port in, but it's just one. This is just one example of we know that if we all drive electric cars, we would be polluting less and we would be better for the planet and better for our not just global warming, but our air quality here. So we would all be healthier if we all drove electric cars, but the barriers and hurdles are expensive and inconvenient. And again, if it's not electric cars, it's public transport. Trains, you can't really build new train lines. I mean, apart from the ones that take 400 years to build, like building train lines is hard. There's got to be buses, and there's a stigma attached to the bus a little bit.
There is.
Some people
There
won't
is.
take the bus.
Yeah.
Tiny Temper, I believe, sung that he drives past the bus he used to ride now. So getting people about, and it also, of course, it unlocks so much, because if you have good public transport in the north, then people can just work. Like, we're accessing the talents of people who aren't stuck in towns where there's very little transport out and there's very few jobs there. So the whole country gets more productive with transport. Jeepers, what an episode.
What an episode. Oh my goodness. Right. We're going to move on. We could that's such a big topic. We could literally chat all day, but we've got to move on. And we've got to move on to the mailbag, because this is your opportunity to ask the stuff that you want to know. And we've got 3 questions, as always. I've picked my top 3. So
Is it as always? We don't always have 3 questions.
Just go with it.
Okay, all right.
So the first one is from Antonia, and she asks, have things changed for the better since the new government, since Keir Starmer's government? Because, we famously just passed the year mark. Or is it too early to tell?
I mean, that's a really difficult question.
Yeah.
Like, Chelsea are world champions right now, so that's something that they weren't a year ago. So I think life is better there. I like it's just, who are you is the question, really. Life is better for you if you are having a free breakfast club. Right? Life is better for you if after September you will have a free school lunch, just because anyone's on universal credit. It's not as good as if it was automatically enrolled, because that's a terrible way to save money. The people who can't do the paperwork have to pay for their lunch. Who possibly thinks that's a reasonable policy? But anyway, better free school meals. You've got cheaper uniforms. So they're really like the money for the cost of having a young child. They've brought down. Like, they've 100%. They're bringing that down. Uniform is cheaper. You've got more nurseries attached to schools, which helps you be more productive. So that's all good news stories, right? If you're on the minimum wage, right, you got a big pay rise in April, like quite a decent pay rise in April, above inflation. So you can now buy more stuff. In fact, you can go to www.patreon.com/simplepolitics and give us £3 a month of your extra, or £74 a month of your extra national minimum wage. They have,
and if you're a renter who's got like a cockapoo and you haven't been allowed to have it live with you,
where's it been?
At your mum's.
Oh, my mum's.
Then very soon your landlord will just have to say, that's all right. That's
So
fine.
there's more renters' rights. There's more workers' rights. Some of these things haven't kicked in yet, but they're happening. What else does he always show off about when he stood there listing the things that the government have done? Like we've got waiting lists. Write down waiting lists. And that's, these things are genuinely good things that have happened. And if you're one of these, if you fit into these categories, do you know what? renters, workers, parents, poorly people. That's most people. Most people will have in some way benefited from changes this government has made in its first year. Now, do you want the but?
Mm.
I mean, the but's quite long. If you used to have winter fuel payment, that was then taken away from you. If you're on PIP, that isn't now going to be taken away from you, except that it might be because there's a report. And do you know what? They keep complaining about how many people on PIP are on PIP for mental health reasons. And then they make it the most anxious and the most terrifying thing they possibly can. Like, don't mess about with these people. Partly because some of these people are my friends, but that's not how you make these decisions. Don't mess about with vulnerable people. Have these conversations behind closed doors. Don't announce them before any details have been worked out, and then kick the ball down the road with a review that may or may not say what's already been said. If you're going to make changes because you need to make changes, and we all understand that the benefits bill is ballooning and something needs to be done, get it done right, get it done thoughtfully, get it done in a caring way. That's not unreasonable to ask for, I don't think.
Mm-hmm.
Compassionate government.
Yeah. So I think, Antonia, it really does depend who you are, your individual circumstances, whether you're cheering for Keir Starmer's first year or whether you're thinking, it's, yeah.
I want to add one last thing. I mean, the list on both sides is much longer than we're giving, right? But the one last thing is unemployment. By putting in more workers' rights. If you're like some horrid company, you don't want your workers to have rights because you want to pick them up and put them down as you want, right? So the Labour government put in extra workers' rights and they've also put the minimum wage up. And which companies pay the minimum wage? Yes, the ones who don't want their workers to have any rights. So they're squeezing jobs. Not just minimum wage jobs, they're squeezing jobs. So the unemployment rate has ticked up today again. It's still not too concerning, but it is going up every time the figure is announced. People are losing their jobs under this government. But also, some people are getting better paid and are better protected with their jobs under this government. Oh, and the national insurance contributions also
For employers,
has
yeah.
also squeezed the jobs market. So seeing more people become unemployed is bad. And let's not forget two reasons why unemployment's bad. One, unemployment's bad because you don't get to go to work and things can get very tricky and you don't get the money and everything's tough. And two, the government don't get your taxes and they have to pay you money, right? So it's a double whammy for the government of not getting your taxes and having to pay universal credit. So I hope that will level off. I see no evidence from the figures that will level off. In a year's time, we'll be able to look back at the first two, and we'll see if the government took charge and stopped this unemployment rise.
Fab. Okay. Got to move you on. Let's go, Alex, because Alex just throws in something that, again, could be a whole podcast episode. So I'm going to
What
ask
have we got?
for under 2 minutes. Alex says, do you think more drug decriminalization will happen?
No.
No, I don't either. I don't.
Because there's no one shouting about it anymore. It used to be a live conversation. Professor Nutt used to be around the place talking about it all the time. But it's gone completely dry. That conversation. There was even, I mean, we got close enough that it was talk of a referendum on
Wow.
legalizing cannabis. I mean, and it was every time there was students, as when I was teaching, and every time there was students having a debate, it would always be about legalizing cannabis. Like, in fact, it's just hasn't cannabis just been made more of a dangerous drug, like gone to a category B drug, or maybe like these categories are complete nonsense. But the idea is, if you get caught with a little bit of steroids, that's a category D, I think, or category C drug. And then ketamine, which destroys lives, is a category C, I think. Not as bad as weed, but that's because some types of cannabis are super strength and kind of knocked out. Like, it's possible that a very long time ago I smoked a bit of weed, right? I mean, I didn't, but it's possible I did. That kind of hash, that kind of weed is very different to what can be available today on the streets. Not everybody, in fact, probably most people, are smoking something quite similar to what was available easily on the streets in the 90s. But some, because, it's like plants and stuff, and you can science stuff up and you can just make these things incredibly, incredibly, incredibly strong. And because of those strong ones, they have to put the whole lot in a higher category, which makes a nonsense of it. Because you can, in theory, go to prison for chilling out with a joint. Right now, it is illegal. I'm not condoning it. I'm not saying you should do it, but prison for possession of cannabis. Come on.
I think
But also, drugs do ruin lives. We should acknowledge that.
they do. Obviously they do, but I think even at the class A end of the scale, um, you know, there's a debate to be had whether continually giving someone a criminal record is when they're an addict
Mhm.
is is the right way to go about it. But I think the people leading the charge on this anywhere in the UK is Scotland, because they've gone with the drug consumption rooms, and
Mhm.
there's some
Mhm.
definite policies up in Scotland that are sort of trailblazing that we haven't got elsewhere in the UK.
Treating addiction as a health crisis
Yeah.
rather than anything else. I mean, personally, I think that whether you agree with it or not, legalizing cannabis but not other drugs is a nonsense.
Mm,
I think that we either completely restructure our drug welfare, have them sold, and so you know what you're buying, right? Because you hear all these cases of heroin coming and killing a batch of people in a certain area or whatever. Ecstasy tablets are famously mostly stuffed with sawdust. Like, so there's that consistency and that safety, and then we can acknowledge what's going on. It can be taxed.
mm,
It could all be worked out. We could have health warnings on packs, like, we'll get it right first time. We no advertising, none of that stuff. Maybe it's sold in the pharmacy, who knows what, like age categories, all of that stuff. Either that's the way you go, or this kind of prohibition. I think legalizing one thing is tricky.
mm.
I know it's done elsewhere. I'm going to Seattle, actually, on honeymoon. Um, and it's legal there. I'm going to be really interested to see
Mm.
how that works. Yeah, that's exciting. I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Prohibition. Look at America when they got rid of alcohol prohibition. What they got was gangsters and people still drinking,
Mm.
right? In the UK, we have prohibition of drugs, and what we've got is gangsters
And people
and
still
people
taking
still
drugs.
doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we don't look at Al Capone and say those were the glory days of America. Prohibition is problematic, always,
Mm.
of
Okay.
anything.
Cool. Right. Question 3, really short. Uh, Final question. I think it's from Kyle, who asks, and I've never really thought of this before. Why in politics do we talk about parties being on the left and right instead of being up or down?
Um, because because up and down is silly. because down is pejorative. Down with you. Like if you were like, yes, down with me. I mean, it sounds like some kind of I don't know, domination kind of enjoyment. Like yeah, everyone be, we're the top, we're the higher, and then we'll be like, we're 10 up, and you'll be like 12, we're 12 T up. Like it wouldn't make any sense because you'd have to agree on a hierarchy and who's at the top.
Mm.
Whereas if you're left and right, people will say, "Oh, I'm left wing," right? And then people will say, "I'm the right wing." I don't know where the terms come from, but it certainly makes more sense. I mean, but we also have a color spectrum in British politics that describes, like it's interesting when Nigel Farage set up the Brexit Party,
Mm.
it was blue, right? Blue because the Conservative Party are blue. Blue is the color of the system. It's the establishment color, right? And then red has always been the revolutionary color. So you look at teams like Chelsea and Arsenal. There is something more revolutionary about Arsenal than there is Chelsea. Because Chelsea, I love Chelsea, but we're the worst team. Like ethically as well as on the pitch. So we have a color spectrum and we have left and right.
Cool. All right.
And up and down was it Kyle?
I
Sorry.
think so. Yeah. Yeah.
Kyle, up and down. I love you, Kyle, but it's a stupid idea.
Great. Okay. We're gonna do Summer Watch now. And we're just
Are we going to be Bill Oddie?
sure. Parliament breaks up on
Was he on that show, Kate Humble?
Chris Packham. Chris Packham.
Oh.
Yeah.
What's Bill Oddie on these days?
Nothing.
Nothing?
Parliament breaks up on Tuesday. We've had our last Prime Minister's questions of this kind of
We have.
of Parliament.
It was awful.
Yeah. So I just thought let's make some summer predictions in the last section. So if we talk about what might happen, there's just a few big things coming up this summer. Just a few. First off, doctor strikes due to start on the 25th of July. Oh, doctor strikes.
I love it. Everyone can see that they're earning in real terms less than they used to earn.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
100% that's happening.
That's happening.
Is that fair? No, because you have to work really super hard to be a doctor.
Yeah.
Like really, they're resident doctors now because they're not junior, and that's the whole. And everyone knows they're not junior, but they had to get that out of their name because they have 7 years of doctor school they've been at, and then the first 4 years you could have been doctoring for 10 years. These are people who save our lives, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they should definitely, everyone can agree, be paid the same as they used to be paid. On the other hand, oh my God, that's a big pay rise they're asking for. They've just got a big pay rise. Where the heck are they going to get the money from? The public are like 22%. You're having a laugh. The public don't support it. Streeting is spitting with rage. He is saying that we're not going to negotiate. The union is saying we're not going to negotiate. Meanwhile, all of those gains that the government's been so proud of having got doctors from the picket line onto the front line, and now they're going back to the picket line, and those waiting lists are going to get longer again. And the Conservatives are going to say, that's why you don't pay off the way you paid off, because now everybody's going to want more. If you've seen to have folded, and I don't know, I don't think that is the case here. Maybe it is, I don't know, but 95% of those who voted to strike.
Yeah.
95%. So we're going to see strikes all summer long.
Wow.
I mean, unless Streeting says, "Yeah, go on. Look, I'm not going to give you 22. I'll give you 10." Right? They wouldn't accept 10, but it's a starting point, which he won't do. They're not going to go, "Oh, go on. I'll tell you what, we'll accept 10." If you like.
So
it's like the bin strike. The bin strike, there's no talks are happening in Birmingham. No talks. Not a talk.
Nope.
because the council says we've given everything, and the bin sort of like, well, we haven't given enough. So yeah, strikes. Who knows who is next? But there will be more strikes.
Okay, let's move swiftly on. Got a Green Party leadership contest over the summer. Do you think the Greens will go for something really different, or do you think they will stick with the status quo pretty much, which is Adrian Ramsay?
I think they're going to go different. I think Carla Denyer was a really big part of the Denyer Ramsey
Mhm,
dual thing,
mhm.
and I don't think Chowns has the same charisma as her. I think Zach Polanski is dashing and he's got big ideas. And I think, can we talk about boobs?
No.
I want to talk because I'm going to talk about boobs anyway. Zach Polanski once a Sun journalist visited him. He used to be a hypnotherapist, a hypnotist, of course he did. He's basically Paul McKenna. She visited him, and he said that he might be able to make her breasts bigger through hypnotism. And then they made it a big story in the Sun. I mean, he didn't touch her in any way. There was nothing particularly inappropriate. She came up with the idea of making her breasts bigger, and they gave it a go. No, well, she didn't pay him. Like, it's a non-story, but it's quite funny. Nonetheless, I think Zach Polanski wins this September.
Okay, excellent. Um, Reform. Do you think they'll make it through summer with the same number of MPs?
They might do, but only because 3 will leave and 3 will come in. Um, like you just never know, because if you get on the wrong side of Nigel Farage in Reform, you are gone. You
Mm,
are done.
mhm,
Oh, I mean, we've seen it before with so many other parties. Nigel Farage does not play well with others.
mm,
So you know the ones who are with him are agreeing with him on everything,
yeah.
right? Richard Tice, who used to run the party, who started the party with all his money, spent millions on it, he has just sat there nodding his head and
Mm,
dancing to Nigel Farage's tune, because even he would be on the scrap heap
mhm.
if he made him cross.
On a
I've
similar,
got no
yeah,
I've got no boob stories for Reform, I'm afraid.
tragically. Um, on a similar note, defections to Corbyn Sultana Party, if they get set up?
I mean, well, we've just seen a few MPs booted out of the Labour Party. It's not a stretch to see them going from there to there. When this party is real, if this party is ever real and
Yeah.
not some kind of July flash in the bag, like, if this party is real, we will see people flocking to it.
Mhm,
It will give Palestinian protesters a home, because Jeremy Corbyn and Zara Sultan have been so strong on that the whole time.
mhm,
They will automatically have 5, 6, 7 MPs, because they'll have all of the independent MPs that were there. And if you see a movement forming, and if you've just been kicked out the Labour Party, or you've just seen your friends kicked out the Labour Party, you might,
mm,
you might want to go and be a bigger fish in a smaller pond.
yeah, yeah,
I mean, that's being mean, because there's, of course, an ideological part of it as well. But if you're sick of where you are, the grass is going to be much greener.
yeah, yeah. Okay, excellent. Final one, just because this podcast is going to be out way before any more matches. Who's going to win the Women's Euros?
Kent.
Right.
You see, I know, like, women's Euros. I love watching England playing the women's Euros, but I don't know how good anyone else is.
Mm,
Right, so each game is a bit of a. I listen to pundits and they tell me, "Oh, it's a tricky game. They've
mm,
got so and so at left back who's particularly good," and I go, "Oh, we better watch out for them at left back." I want England to win. Obviously, come on, England, it's coming home. All of that, but I don't. Are we going to win? Do you know what? I've been an England fan for 40 years, and I can tell you exclusively, I can give you exclusive access to this news. We ain't winning. We had a win. That's us done. You got 20, 30 years left before another one pops up. We might get an England under-18 team bringing it home. But seriously, all England does is give you misery and pain and sadness, just like Diane's contribution
To
to
the
this
podcast.
podcast. Yeah.
Absolutely. And Lottie is absolutely shaking her head. I can see 'cause she thinks we're winning. So okay, finally, we've done the politicsy bit. What's in the crystal ball? It's more team focused, I think, because we've kind of covered everything else.
I'm just reading through what you've put for crystal ball, and it feels like there's a massive omission.
Yeah. Well, yes, there is. You could.
Lovely people. The, the world is going to be a sadder place because Lottie is getting married. Your chances of snapping up Lottie in a chance encounter in East Kent have disappeared. Her and Ellie are doing the marriage thing here in Whitstable, and they're both so lovely, and it's really great. I'm also getting married, much to the relief of the women in the world. Stop chatting to them so much. And yeah, I mean, we are actually back. We're back for one more podcast before that happens. We're recording a podcast next week to look back at the year. And I know that we had a question from Antonia about the year of this government. We're going to look back at that. We're going to tell a story of the last year, and we're going to record that next Tuesday. So on that occasion, that's when the super emotional chat will be pulled out the bag, and we can all have a cry, and
Yeah.
then it looks like Lottie's nearly in tears now. Like
Oh.
that's lovely. And yeah, so at the end of that podcast, we'll tell you everything about what we're doing over the summer on the page. I mean, rather than just I might go and play crazy golf. Yeah, we'll keep you up to date with all that.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you for listening. It's been a roller coaster of an episode from when are they not? When are they not, to be fair?
Is that what you call a shit episode? I don't think it's been that bad.
No, neither do I. That's roller coasters are great.
Look how high pitched you went then.
I did.
It's almost as if you were hiding something.
I know. Very defensive. But keep your questions coming in, and we look forward to doing it all again for you next week. Thank you so much for listening. Take care, everyone.
If you got to the end here, then you're just an absolute legend. If you got to the end here and you haven't Patreoned up, seriously, people, what are you doing? No, well done for making the end. Thank you very much. Bye, 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 bye.
Bye.